The Warhammer 40,000 combat roster is now live, so let's take a look under the hood and see whether this is a worthwhile addition to your gaming toolkit. G'day, my name is Alex and this is Garage Gamers Down Under. I come from a land of love. Beat us low and mention love. Can you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Welcome to the show. I hope I find you in good health wherever you are around the world. So today's show we're going to take a look at the Warhammer 40,000 combat roster. If you're not aware, in March of this year, Games Workshop made an announcement that they will be releasing their very own list builder for the Warhammer 40,000 line. It will be coming in two parts, the first part being the combat roster, which is what we're going to take a look at today, and the second one will be the app, which will be released on the Apple and Android platforms. Now that will be coming, I believe, later on this year, probably towards the end of this year. That app will have the points system for all your Warhammer 40,000 datasheets. However, today what we're taking a look at is the combat roster, which is predominantly based on power levels. So let's take a look at what GW has to say about the combat roster. So they say that building lists for your games just got easier. Combat roster is now live. So the combat roster is an online list builder that lets you construct lists using power level for free. Basically, we liked War Scroll Builder so much that we commissioned Tom, a fan of our and keen programmer, to make something like it for Warhammer 40,000. Whether you're looking to build a killer army for your next game, wondering what else you can fit in your list, or just want to see how many Gretchen you can squeeze into a 100 power army, you'll find Combat Roster an invaluable tool. So we'll take a look at this tool and give it a road test ourselves, but before we actually jump onto that, let's see what GW had to say in March when they actually made the announcement.
So right now I'm working with the Warhammer community team. When the new version of Warhammer 40,000 dropped, I really wanted there to be a quick and easy way to build lists, and I wanted to be able to do that online. That's how Roll Call came about. So I think this collaboration is going to benefit the wider community hugely because they're going to have access to the app and the updated codexes on day one. So I decided to go for power levels with Roll Call because they're a really quick and easy way to write lists in Warhammer 40,000. I'm so excited to be working with the Warhammer community team. You know, kind of a dream come true from when I first created it. I thought, oh, maybe one day I'll be able to, you know, that would be the dream, and it's happening, and I'm so excited for it because it's as I've said before, it's so useful for us, and to be able to get it out there for the wider audience is so exciting.
So that video was released by Games Workshop in March when they made an announcement with regards to the list builder that they will be putting together and releasing for the Warhammer 40,000 line. Now at that point in time they did advise that the list builder will be coming in two parts. First part will be the combat roster that you're seeing today. Another part will be the app that's going to be released sometime at the end of this year, I believe. The gentleman that you saw in that video is Tom. He was instrumental in the creation of the War Scroll Builder, something that you're looking at right now. War Scroll Builder is for the Warhammer Age of Sigmar line. It's another online tool, as you can see here. Now, full disclosure from myself, I haven't played Age of Sigmar for quite some time now. I did give it a go when the old world was destroyed and the Age of Sigmar line was launched. I did give it a go. I played for probably about 6 months. And in the good old Warhammer world, I did have a Chaos army and an Empire army. I tried using Empire playing Age of Sigmar. Have been smashed left, right and center and just could not get it right, and it got to a stage where in one particular game my troops actually could not mechanically or technically even hit or cause any damage. based on the way that the mechanics of the game worked. So that's made me walk away. But I have heard stories that things have changed, and no doubt I believe that they have changed. But to be honest, I have actually moved on. I'm predominantly now playing in the Warhammer 40K universe under the Games Workshop line. But this, yeah, Tom did create the War Scroll Builder. I do hear good stories and good feedback with regards to what's been done there. You can pretty much see for yourself if you go onto the Games Workshop website, at the Warhammer community website. That's where you will find the Warhammer Age of Sigmar War Scroll Builder, and you'll see up here that the War Scroll Builder logo and the Combat Roster logo are now side by side. Let's take a look at the newly released Combat Roster and give it a bit of a road test. So this is it. The Warhammer 40,000 Combat Roster is also on the warhammercommunity.com website. It is a free tool. It's a free online tool for you to utilize, and we thank Games Workshop for that, because they really don't do free a lot, unfortunately. We've got to take what we are given. So when you come onto the landing page, this is pretty much what you see. Warhammer Community, Warhammer 40,000, and down here you've got the Warhammer 40,000 Combat Roster. And then you have all these line items. I like how this is actually set out here. Your HQs, troops, elites, fast attack, etc., all the way down to fortifications. It has been set up. Over here you have a search tool, so by clicking on this you can actually search for your data sheets by name. Just by typing it in here, that will actually give you a shortcut to your data sheets. Over here you've got your factions: Chaos, Imperium, Xenos. Forge World is included here as well, and I guess this is probably the starting point here, is where you can actually select your factions. Okay, you can actually click on this too. So you can click on Chaos, Imperium, Xenos, Forge World. So I guess you can actually just narrow down in terms of what you want to build. Let's take a look. I'll probably get the Xenos going here. Select faction. Okay, yep. So it's only listing all the Xenos factions in the GW line. Alright, let's take a look. I do play Tau, so I'm going to select the Tau faction. And what you can see here now all of a sudden is that your HQ, troops, etc., all those options have been updated. And you can actually see how many you have to choose from in each one of those lines. So let's click on HQ and take some things here. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to get a Darkstrider. Commander. So I'm going to select the Commander. Okay, what do we got? Tactical drones. 2. If I take off. Okay, so you can see that your power levels, etc., actually change over here as you're adding or deleting items. Something that I noticed straight away here is that with regards to this commander, I don't have the options to fit him out with his weapons, because commanders can actually take several types of weapons. So that's not included here, so you don't actually see that. Let's take a look at my troops. Okay, I'll take a strike team here. Okay, fire warriors, starting off with 5 tactical drones. Okay, let's see if I want to add some tactical drones. Yes. Okay, that's the other thing as well here. There's several types of tactical drones. It doesn't allow me to select which types. It just says tactical drone, so that's the data sheet. Tactical drone and guardian drone. Yes, I've got that there that I can select, and select if I want a fire warrior Shasui, which is basically a sergeant in that unit. And if I want to go up to 12, okay, so this is interesting. So what's happening here is that the fire warriors start off at 5, and if I want to increase, it takes it to 10 models, and the power levels increase here, and then to 12 models, and the power level increases there. So there is nothing in between, so I can't select 6 or 8, etc. if I want to play that many fire warriors, or that's how many I actually have in a unit. So it's kind of either or, and locks you in that, and obviously in terms of power level, it accounts for all those models, and if you're taking less than that, that's up to you, it seems. Let's take a look at something else here as well. I'll go for a Riptide battle suit. Okay, Riptides, Shield Missile Drone, take that, yes, and there's my power levels there as well. But what I can see now is that with regards to the Riptide as well, I can't actually select the type of weapons I want on this guy in this list. So that's an interesting part with regards to the combat roster. Probably a little bit disappointing, to be honest, because I would have liked to have seen that. I'm going to take a look at another faction and see whether we come across the same things. Let's click on Imperium here. I'll get, okay, so all the Imperiums are listed here. I'll take the Ultramarines because that's another faction that I run. So my HQ, etc., all of those are selected here. Interestingly enough, there's nothing in the troops for Ultramarines, so I guess I have to select that somewhere else. So it's quite interesting, yes, I don't have the troops options here if I've selected the Ultramarines. So let's go back up here, let's click on Space Marines. Okay, the troops have now appeared. Okay, so there you go, your Intercessor Squads are actually here. Intercessor Sergeant, okay, and I can increase my Intercessor Squad. That increases it correctly, but once again I cannot load out my Intercessor Squads in, or the Sergeant, however I like to play. So that's not part of this combat roster list building ability for you. But it's interesting here that, yeah, I have to actually go to the Space Marine faction to be able to get the Intercessor Squad, and then I have to obviously then go to Ultramarines if I want to take on some of the Ultramarine type of characters, like let's say Manius Calgay here. But the Intercessor Squad stays on my list, which is good. But yeah, I think that's a little bit of going backwards and forwards. That's a little bit annoying. I'm not sure if I am in favor of that, but look, it's not a big killer at all. The combat roster seems to be pretty straightforward in terms of your list building. You just select on your HQ options, your troops, elites, etc., and put your list together. As I've mentioned before, it's all power level related. We've got a few other functions up here as well. You can copy your list if you want, so you click on it and you can create your army name and copy this list to your clipboard and then print it out if you wish and take it with you. That's a pretty good feature. You can also export it, so you can give your army a name and then export it to a PDF and save that file. So, okay, that's pretty good. I like that option because then you can actually put it onto your tablet or a smartphone device and take that with you wherever you're gaming, so you don't have to actually print off and kill any more trees for that. So that's pretty good. I always like that feature. And it's got a load save feature as well. So obviously you're saving your combat rosters. You can come back to it later on and then tweak it and play around with it. Or if you've built a roster and went out and played and didn't like how that particular list played out, you can come back and do some tweaking and change it around a little bit. So you can load, overwrite, you can save. So that's a pretty good nifty feature. I actually like that they've got that here in the combat roster. Very straightforward toolkit, I must say. There's probably not much else to talk about with regards to the combat roster. I certainly encourage you to get onto the Warhammer website, the Warhammer community website, and take a look at yourself and play around with it if you will. But whether I will be using it, yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure if I will. And like anything else that gets released by Games Workshop, the forums get inundated with opinions and feedback. So I was quite interested to see what people around the globe have been saying about the combat roster. So let's take a quick look at some of the forums here that I've gone through and read. So here we are on Daka forum. So let's see what Zingraf here says. Yeah, this isn't useful. Full stop. That's it. Alex Troy says, nice interface, very easy to use for determining your power levels and mucking about. Unfortunately, the lack of detachments, building tool, and failure to put all units in the appropriate place is rather disappointing. And that's something that I found as well when I was actually going through the Ultramarines list. I had to actually go to Space Marines to select the Intercessors, and then back to the filter of Ultramarines to select those Ultramarine specific models and data sheets. So that's I do agree with you there, Alex Troy. Why the heck do tactical squads and intercessor squads only show up under Space Marines? So, hey, you were thinking exactly what I was thinking there. So we're kindred spirits, you and me, mate. No wonder you're Alex. Let's move on. Here we go, Pizza Guardian. It's a thing. It doesn't hurt me. It didn't lose anything when I got it. So I am fine with it. Might even use it for rough drafts. Kadash here says, simple enough to use, if not the most streamlined rules friendly. Probably useful when you want to spend hours just playing around with what list you can make from your collection, but beyond that, it's just a minor time-saving tool when you're going to need to open your codices to play the game anyway. Probably won't use it because power level isn't my thing, and I'll probably be able to physically write the list out just as quickly using a pen than that site. Okay, thank you very much for that, Kadash. 6-6. It's really dumb that you have to switch between Space Marines and whatever chapter you want to build a complete army. Here we go, another one that has made the same observation, and I think that's pretty much going to be applicable to all those factions out there. So it might be something that's commonly annoying to people. Let's move on. Skin Real, we use points and power levels. Points for competitive players and power level for pugs. We have a 3x3 game at Nottingham coming up for 66 power level per player, so this app is nice for quickly swapping out parts of an army, and we worry about loadouts later. Okay, so let's just keep on going on here. Lunar Soul. Let's talk Battlescribe for a bit. The big issue with Battlescribe is that it's not totally legit. It's actually pretty reliable and definitely gets the job done, but it's clearly coded to appear generalized and not get swatted with IP infringement. I think this is a great stopgap, and it's been a long while since I've seen it be wrong in a way that I wouldn't suggest using it. So I think he's referring to Battlescribe there. Okay, Leopard here piqued my interest when I got the email, then saw power levels, and basically haven't bothered looking further. Okay, that's interesting feedback. Okay, we're going to jump over here to Reddit. Yes, I am in Reddit. I don't generally go here, but I thought I'll take a look at what people are talking about the combat roster in Reddit. Okay, so NW Robinson. This is horribly useless. I don't understand how they could pass this off as a helpful product. Okay, that's a generally common Reddit type of feedback that you see. But here's a bit of defense from Angle. Well, it's free, so it doesn't really matter. What will matter is the points version they're actually working on. And yes, they are working on a points version. That version was going to be coming out, I believe, sometime at the end of this year. It will be released on the Android and the Apple devices. I presume, and will take an educated guess, that this will be a paid full service. You will actually need to pay for that because it will have points listed in there. And Games Workshop is very big on ensuring that their points for their data sheets aren't released in the public view freely, so you will have to pay for them one way or other. One way is to actually pay by buying the codex or the index if you don't have a codex for your faction yet, or through this app that's going to be coming up. It will have points, but I believe you will have to pay for that app. Another feedback here from Jack Does Derp. If the quality of this one is any indication, I'm pretty sure most people will stick to Battlescribe. Beastie, it's really bad. Sad face. Okay, Angry Otter just tried putting a Blood Angels list together and it's missing loads of units. No tactical squads. Baal Pred is the only heavy support choice. Looks like it needs a lot more work to at least be functional for power level. Okay, so there's some feedback with regards to the power level itself as well, that it might not be seen as being as functional as needed or as desired. Okay, let's just take a look at Warseer over here. Captain Brown says that the first attempt, it is a little bit hard to use. I had to search for the running total of models and force points hidden in the top left corner. As my group uses force points, it makes things even easier once you get the hang of it. My 2 cents. So there you have it, a bit of feedback from around the globe. We took a look at what the common thread is. So in summary, the combat roster, it's good that GW is releasing something for free for us to take a look at, and we can probably play around with it a little bit. From my personal perspective, I won't be using it. I think it's a nice tool, but it is missing quite a lot of things that I really would love to have. And I won't be using it because in my group, around the traps here where I play, and obviously in all the tournaments that I've played in, it's all points-based system. So I need tools, list building tools that actually help me out with that part of the data sheets on all those points. And because we're actually kitting out weapons, replacing other standard weapons in the data sheets, and those weapons come with separate points, we need to have a list builder, or I need to have a list builder that actually accommodates that. So this list builder doesn't do that, it does power levels. In saying that, as I mentioned earlier, this was my personal opinion. In saying that, I think generally people out there that use power levels will find this useful. What I hear as well is that Games Workshop stores are pushing the power level approach in terms of list building, and are promoting competitions, tournaments, get-togethers, etc., based around the power level. So they are certainly pushing for that. Some may be concerned that this is a approach to get rid of points, because there was some talk a while back before the 8th edition came out that Games Workshop will not be supporting points at loss at all. And there was quite a lot of pushback, and I think Games Workshop did see the community in red hot anger about points totally disappearing. So I think points is probably here to stay, but nevertheless, power level is something that Games Workshop does support, and their stores are pushing for it. But outside the stores, when you're playing with your friends at home, when you're in a tournament, list building using points is the best and fairest and easiest way to approach your gaming. And a picture speaks 1,000 words. There was some commentary there that I read out with regards to Battlescribe. Battlescribe is something that I do use. There is positives and negatives. I guess lots of people have said that the point system doesn't work properly, or is not accounted for properly. I must say, in 99% of the lists that I've built and verified as well, with the codexes, the points in Battlescribe have been totally correct. So I can't say that my experience has been very negative with Battlescribe at all. It's an easy tool to use. I have it on my Apple iPhone, I have it on my tablet, I have it on my PC. I probably actually use my tablet and my phone much more than I do on my PC. It's easy to put together, and then I take it with me wherever I go. And if the opposing player wants to take a look at anything, I can easily just show him on the screen. So I do find Battlescribe much easier to use because of the fact that it has points listed in there. The combat roster, as you are aware, is not a points-based list building tool. It says power level purely, so I am not sure that this is actually going to get a lot of traction out there. It might get some, it will get support, but in saying that this is an invaluable tool, as GW wants to make you believe, I don't believe that is the fact. I don't believe that is the case at all, that this is an invaluable tool. It is an okay tool, it is a sometimes tool, but an invaluable tool, no. No, I think we'll need to wait for the app when that actually gets released, because that's going to have all the points in there. Everyone that plays in ITC tournaments, other tournaments are out there in your local gaming stores, and even at home, everyone pretty much uses points. In saying that, it does come with a caveat. There are people that use power levels there, and power to you as well, guys, that do that. There is no way that I want to diminish what you do and how you approach in terms of your list building for the Warhammer 40,000 line. Feel free to go ahead and continue to do that. This will be a helpful tool for you. I think you will also find some frustrations in there. For instance, as mentioned earlier on, and seen from some of the forum feedback, you have to go, if you're building, for instance, an Imperium Ultramarines list, you have to actually go into the Space Marine faction to get your intercessors and put them onto the list, and then switch back over to the Ultramarines to look at those other data sheets. So that doesn't feel seamless. Okay, it's a couple of clicks here and there, and you might say, oh, how bad is that? It's not that bad. No, it's not that bad, but it could have been better. We have to agree that it actually could have been better. So at the end of the day, the combat roster, a free tool, which is fantastic. It doesn't hit the mark on several aspects, and that's not necessarily entirely bad, but it's basically what will come of it is that a certain group of players will not use it, and another group of players will use it. In terms of the volume, I certainly believe that the volume is much greater on the side of those players who use point system, and they will probably keep on sticking to Battlescribe, only because Games Workshop don't have their own one out yet, but that is coming, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. And when that gets released towards the end of this year, if it is a great tool and built well, I will certainly pay for that and switch over, support Games Workshop, and I won't be using Battlescribe from then on. And that's the end of our show. We certainly hope that you like what you see being put out by Garage Gamers Down Under. If so, we would love to see you back here again, and to make that effective, please subscribe down below. Make sure you click on that bell icon so that way any future releases will be automatically notified to you via either email or on your YouTube channel. So until we see you next time, please remember that it's important that you allocate some of your time to be a kid at heart, and game on.